In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the spread operator, which came as part of ES6. So let's get to it. All right, to show you how the spread operator works, what we're first going to do is create an array. So we'll just call that array my array, and we'll have a list of names. So we'll have Chris, Brian, Jane, and Jemima. Okay. So now I've got my array, and what I want to do is log out the contents of that array. So if I look at my console.log for a second, and if I was to pass through my array, that will work, of course, and you'll see it just, it takes a single parameter, which is the array, and it'll output contents of my array, Chris, Brian. So let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into console.log. So if I just type in console.log, and you see the parameter list, and the first thing I want you to notice is got that triple dot syntax. Data, and it's sort of an array of any type. So that is really important. That is a functionality known as REST parameters, and I've got a whole video on that, so feel free to sort of check that out. What it essentially means is you can pass through a never-ending list of parameters through to that function, and then it will treat that as an array underneath. So to give an example, if I were to manually pass through Chris, Brian, Jane, and Jemima. So what would be a really cool piece of functionality is because console.log accepts that never-ending list of parameters, it'd be really cool if I could just pass through my array into console.log, and then it could perform that same functionality. But as we saw before, if I pass in my array like that, it treats it as an array, and then it just get output as an array. This is where the spread operator comes in. So all I need to do is prefix my array in the function with triple dot 1, 2, 3, and then you'll see it outputs as Chris, Brian, Jane, Jemima. So what it's actually doing there is taking that array and then it's spreading it out, flattening out that array so that it can pass through each element of the array as a parameter in my console log. And of course, it doesn't just work with arrays, it also works with strings, because strings underneath are really just an array anyway. So if I were to do the same thing, let's say we'll create a new string and we'll call it my string, and we'll set the text to "These apples are delicious." And then if I call console.log, if I do it in the normal way, we'll do my string. You'll see it returns "These apples are delicious," which is cool. But if I was to put the triple dot notation before my string, passing it into console.log, 2, 3, you'll see it is split out the function into each individual character being passed through and sent back out. So the spread operator for functions is very, very cool, but it is a little bit of syntactic sugar. You could achieve the same result by using the apply prototype, but it's really quite nice. And I'll show you what I mean. So if I do console.log and then use the apply prototype and then pass through null as a parameter and then pass through my array of arguments. So in this case, it would be my array. We'll just terminate that. And then we run this again. You will see it's got the exact same result as running the triple dot spread operator. But I think in my code, I would rather have console.log ... my array than console.log ... apply null my array. So it's cleaner code. It's a little bit of syntactic sugar, but it's very, very cool. So one of the things that's super cool about spread operators is it's really useful for performing operations on arrays. So let me show you how that works. So if I take my array above and I just want to add a new item into the array, so I could just go const new array, and what we will do is we will put a new person's name in. So let's add in Steve, and then what I want to do is put in my array. I want to prepend that to the array. So all I'm going to do is go ... my array, and if I do a console.log and we put in new array, you can see Steve is prepended onto that list, which is very cool. And of course I can still triple dot that here as well if I want to spit it out as Steve, Chris, Brian, Jane, Jemima. So using the ... I can just sort of perform operations and add new functions in. And again, it's not just prepending. I could postpend as well. So I could also add in Sharon, and then you see Sharon appears at the end there as well. So very, very cool. And most importantly is I am creating a brand new array. So if we have a look at this as well, you can see my array, Chris, Brian, Jane, Jemima, remains good, right? So the effects of working on new array hasn't affected anything on my original array. And that's one of the pain in the necks that you have with arrays today, because arrays are essentially reference types. So if I was to add something on to the end of array as normal, then I'm going to affect the original array. Let me show you what I mean by that. So if I create a new array, so new array 2, and we'll point it to my array. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to push Sharon onto the end of it. So let's put Sharon on there. And then if I did a console.log of new array 2, you will see, let me just triple dot that as well. And you'll see that Sharon is on at the end. Life is good. But the problem is I've mutated my original array. So if I was just to change, put my array here, you'll see Sharon is appended onto the end of my original array. And that's because arrays are reference types. So when I do the const new array equals to my array, what I'm actually doing is asking those two constants to point to the same location. And actually that's an important point about constant. Constants can be changed, right? So you've just seen that there, right? That anything that is a reference type can be mutated. Big point is that's one of the advantages of the triple dot notation, is that I can modify my array, I can prepend, I can postpend, but it's not going to affect the original array because it's going to be working on a new copy, which is fantastic. So I could achieve the same result of concatenations as the spread operator by using something like the concat function on my array. So I could do a const my array 2 equals my array dot concat, and then pass through Frederica and Joni. And then I could do my console.log on my array 2. And actually, let's just triple dot that for a second. And you can see Frederica and Joni's been in there. So I could use that prototype to perform that functionality. But I think you'll agree it's just easier to go const my array 3 equals ... my array Frederica and Joni. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Hopefully you found that useful and you're a little bit more comfortable with the spread operator, which I think is super cool. Thank you. Speak soon.